You look really red in that picture because of the white shirt.
on the
Yeah.
this action.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's up?
I hadn't really thought anything of it until you just said that. But thank you.
No problem. I got you.
Katie, are you back full time or are you still sort of in and out?
I am back.
Awesome.
We're
Awesome.
live.
We are live.
We've been live for actually for the last 30 seconds, so we could jump right into it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today for another Lighted Up webinar. We are really, really excited to have with us Katie Day out of Houston, Texas. Say hello, Katie.
Hello, hello. What's going on?
Awesome. So yeah, we did a podcast a few months ago, I think now, with Katie, and it was super informative. And I know that personally, I followed you for, I don't want to say years, but definitely over a year. Your content's been awesome. What I always love about what you put out there is that, I mean, we tend to put out a lot of content for other agents. And I think a lot of people these days are seeing like Broke Agent, which is, those guys are awesome. And what they do is, keeps us all laughing and breaks the tension. But a lot of it is for other agents. And I think that the content you put out there for buyers and sellers, stuff that can otherwise be really, really boring about like, hey, what's the process to put down a down payment, and how do I get pre-approved for a loan? A lot of that stuff is stuff that we talk about every day, but buyers and sellers still don't necessarily understand the steps of it. And I think you do a really, really great job at explaining the process and coaching people and educating. And as we all know, the quicker we can educate our prospects, the quicker they become buyers and sellers. So super excited to spend an hour with you today. And we thought that it would be great to bring you back to a more interactive setting and have you on the webinar. So thank you again for spending some time with us.
For sure. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to dig in.
Especially after you just are a recent mother. And as we were chatting, as we were just, getting prepared for today's webinar, I know you just recently came back full time to work. So thank you for fitness into your schedule.
Yeah, no, glad to be here. Excited.
Cool. Let's roll.
Let's go.
All right. We're giving you the go ahead now. This is your show. We will try. I've been told in the past that I interject too much, but we want to make this fun and interactive. So we'll make it more of a conversation. We'll take questions
I think
throughout.
For sure. I mean, I think that it makes sense to have more of a conversation and answer questions that people have. I know we've got some people watching on YouTube and online, and stuff like that. So, welcome. What's going on? My name is Katie Day, real estate agent down here in Houston, Texas. I run a small team down here in Texas. And we definitely have leaned in pretty hard on video marketing over the past few years. We hired a full-time videographer at the end of 2019 for 2020, and really decided that we were going to embrace video and kind of go all in on video content. So the first iteration of that was doing neighborhood spotlights, where we were highlighting local businesses and business owners throughout the Houston area. And everyone remembers 2020 and what happened in March of 2020 when the world shut down. So we went from, paying this videographer to make these high production quality videos to like me shooting outside of a restaurant, getting to go food and stuff like that. Picked it back up shortly thereafter because we were in Texas and we reopened pretty quickly. And, we've just kind of been going since then. So, whenever things change with algorithms and stuff like that, we try to change what we're doing. So what you're saying with like the kind of like explainer videos that I do, when TikTok started taking off and short form videos started taking off, we kind of started digging into, that short form, more educational style type videos in addition to the other stuff that we were doing. So that's kind of my intro, my long intro. If you all are out there watching and you are on YouTube, please feel free to drop questions in the chat. Would love to hear what questions y'all have so that we can kind of have a conversation around, video and video questions. What direction would you like me to go from here? Where do you want to go?
So I think I would say let's jump into it from a perspective of, for newer agents or maybe even more experienced agents that want to sort of get more involved in video marketing? Like, do you suggest that they start by promoting some of their listings? Do you suggest that they start by doing some, one-on-one camera type sessions, like answering commonly asked questions, like the educational type stuff that we talked about, edutainment? How do you suggest that maybe a newer agent dives in?
Yeah, for sure. I think that one of the things that a lot of people have difficulty with is getting started, right? So first, you're starting this career, so that's already hard in itself, right? Like you don't know what you're going to do to prospect, you don't know if you're going to join a team or what brokerage to go to, or be an individual, or how to get started. So that's the first part. And then the second part is like, well, now what do I do? Like I don't know a ton about real estate. Like what content should I make? I think that the best thing to do to start out with is to do stories and to kind of document your journey, right? So that could be once you're licensed, like what are you doing to generate business? If you're working with a team, right? We both have teams. What does that look like, right? And how are you prospecting for new business? What open houses are you doing? What homes are you going to preview and things like that? Show people that you're in real estate. And then it can kind of go from there. I'm not a fan of going out and buying a camera and hiring a videographer and doing all of these things if you're not fully committed to doing video content yet. Our phones are so high quality as far as, the quality of the camera and audio and things like that. So you can definitely get started with stories and kind of graduate from there, in my opinion.
Cool. So from what I hear you saying is just sort of document your day, reminding people to, that you're in the business, that you throughout the day, right? Showing property, meeting with buyers, meeting with sellers, all the things that come up, while you're in the office, just sort of staying top of mind just by showing people, hey, I'm out here working every day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in addition to that, I think you need to show yourself as well. As you kind of know from my social, you're like, oh yeah, you just had a kid, do this, do that, whatever. I get more interaction and DMs on my story posts that are like food related, gym related, dog and now child related, different things like that. Like I could post like a super sick house and I would get like 3 comments,
Yeah.
but the personal stuff, people, it resonates with people, right? Like, what you like to do outside of, that 9 to 5 or outside of the job.
Yeah. So I think you just answered that question, but I'll ask you this anyway. Some people, I always laugh when people first get their real estate license. They're like, all right, so now I need to make my real estate Instagram. So based on everything you just said, it sounds like we should keep everything all on one under one handle. Is that right?
Generally speaking, I would agree with that. I do. A lot of people will make them, and then they're still posting on their personal Instagram, and they post once a month on their work one, or vice versa. I have a personal one that I post like once a month or once every other month or whatever it is, just to document like personal things that I want to remember, right? As far as like, oh hey, this was a really cool thing that I did in April, and whatever, or now that I have a child, right? Like every month I'm posting like the month pictures, and stuff like that, just to have like a document of that thing.
Right.
But no, I mean, I think having multiple accounts, if you're posting in earnest, like it's just too much to be like, oh, I need to do stories on this one and then this one. I need to do a feed post on this one and then this one. And also like if I follow John, your personal account, and then I also follow your real estate one, and you're putting the same stories and the same posts on every page, when I'm scrolling, like if I keep seeing the same post, I'm probably going to unfollow one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And like if you're putting all of the same posts on every page anyways, like why not minimize
What's the
the amount of
difference?
work? Yeah, and just put it on one. With that being said, if you have like super personal stuff on your personal account, maybe you archive some of those posts, or you do start a new one and just have some of that personal stuff on there. I don't think there's any like one size fits all. This is how you have to do social, or how you have to do, video marketing or anything like that. But yeah.
All right. So I have a question here for you go ahead, Kurt.
I was gonna say, interestingly enough, the 2 women that we know that are amazing at doing edutainment is Katie and Bethany. And
Bethany Nolan. Out of, I forget what part of Texas.
As I say, she's in Texas, right? Yeah. What's up, Bethany? Hopefully you're still watching.
She's still here, and she's asking a great question. If an agent is just getting started, which of course is not her situation, but it's a great rhetorical question. If an agent is just getting started, what are 3 videos they should consider making?
That is a good question. I think one of the first ones that you should do is a bio video. I think that, people need to know who you are, why you do what you do, and kind of showing a little bit about yourself. One video that we've been doing a lot of with the team is agent to agent referral videos, right? And so it's a higher production quality video where I introduce myself. I introduce that I'm part of, the team, and, that we do a lot of business for agent to agent referrals, and that, what else do we say in it? We service the greater Houston area. We do a lot of agent referrals. We'll keep you up to date with the process and, A, B, C, D, maybe an award we won or something like that. Right. And that's just for other realtors. And so I'll post that in Facebook groups, or in, like, we have Workplace for our brokerage, right? So like in Workplace when there's a referral and different stuff like that, just to kind of, make it a little bit more personal. And then with team members, when they start, it's like me sitting over here and then them sitting over here. And I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm Katie Day. This is John. And then, John's like, hey, what's going on? And, you kind of go through your little bio.
Cool. So
that was
bio
only
video.
2. That's 2 different bio videos. A third one would be, I'm a real big fan of like the local community stuff, and highlighting local businesses. So like wherever you live and work and want to be, I would start highlighting local businesses, and business owners, and spotlighting, different things that people can expect if they're living in, your area.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I don't think there's a lot of people doing that at a really, really, high level, right? Sometimes people are coming in and out of like local coffee shops or local restaurants or bars or whatnot. But I think, like, for instance, I can't think of somebody in our marketplace, Kiro, that does that at a really, really high level. Not that I've seen, but I think that's not consistently. So I think that's good.
So now I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No.
No, what I was gonna say is, like, I think that it's great. Like, I'll do that. Yesterday we actually shot a neighborhood spotlight with my videographer, right? So it's, high production quality, this, that, and the other. And I, with my phone, like, we were shooting at one business in like a shopping center. I went and got a coffee from the place next door, right? So I took like some B-roll type shots, vertical video there. I went and got tacos. This was like, we were there for like over an hour and I was starving. Then I went and got tacos from the taco place on the other side of the popsicle shop, right? And I got pictures of that and video of that. And then there's like a t-shirt shop, something else and something else, right? And so I got video of all of that. And so I'm going to splice all of those together on my phone as a reel to just be like, hey, if you haven't been over into the East End lately, this is something you should go check out. Check out all these businesses, locally owned, this, that, and the other. So I think that can either be stories, it can be reels, and you can do that right from your phone. I'm going to tag all of those businesses, right? And that's, again, a great way to get started. Hiring a videographer and paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for those types of videos, like, until you have a budget for that, I wouldn't recommend a brand new agent do that. But we've done like over 200 spotlights with my videographer. I just looked at our YouTube channel, like the playlist. So we've done 209 of those videos over the past basically almost 4 years.
You must be running out of venues to go to, no?
Some things, it's funny when I see like something closed, I'm like, oh man, that sucks. And then like I'll see something reopen in that same spot. I'm like, all right, we've got another place to go to.
And you didn't wash the tacos down with coffee, did you?
No, I was done with the coffee by the time I ate the tacos. Sure.
So that doesn't sound like a good mix.
For the amount of caffeine that I feel like I've been consuming lately, it's like, it doesn't, I might as well just like IV it into my arm, in some way. But, so, I think that.
Tell me, with the spotlights of these like restaurants, local venues, I'm thinking of like some cool like coffee shops. I'm sure these people would be thrilled to have you come and highlight them and, talk about them and expose them to your platform. Are you sort of giving them notice before you walk in there? Are you interviewing the owner of the coffee shop and making it like interactive? Talk to us a little bit more about that for people who haven't seen your stuff. Yeah,
for sure. So for like just a reel or whatever, it's just you documenting you being there, right? So you could be outside of it and saying, talking direct to your phone, selfie style, saying, if you're looking for the best cup of coffee in East Downtown, check out ABC Coffee. And then you do your little pan shots and you splice all that together. And so that's like, just you doing that. I don't think you need to go like call them and tell them you're coming or anything like that,
Right.
like post it on your story, post it on a reel. But as far as the higher production quality videos, like my videographer comes in with 2 cameras, we get B-roll, so we talk to the business owners ahead of time. What I did when we first started is I started at my farm, right? And already since I lived there and worked there and, had my coffee shop, had my gym, had my restaurants that we went to every week for date night and stuff like that, it was very easy for me to reach out and say, Kira, John, whoever it may be, can we do this video? We'd love to interview you, right? And since we already had that relationship and they were seeing me every week, they're like, sure, let's do it, right? So there wasn't really this like, let me prove to you who I am, like, because we didn't have any videos yet.
Right.
So we started out very small with people we knew. And so they were comfortable with doing a video interview, or at least did it because they knew me. And then we've expanded from there. So like, as you're saying, you're probably running out of businesses, I mean, Houston's obviously huge, right? So we did start in our farm and then we moved to another farm and then we started to go wider. And now, we're going to places that are, could be 2 hours away from each other, right? Like just with this, all of the suburbs and kind of neighborhoods here in Houston. But yeah, we asked for permission. We set up a time to meet with them to do that. The interview itself is probably about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the business owner and how concise they are. And then we get B-roll. And so if it's at a restaurant or a bar, we tell them that we would like to be able to have access to the kitchen. We'd like to be able to see them making dishes as well and drinks as well as finished product, right? And then, just some kind of B-roll of the space and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Other than
So,
the local
go ahead.
business highlights, when like for instance, Bethany had she was like testing out different formulas and she figured out like the pointing thing was like
Yeah.
working out for her. What were some tips and tricks that grew your content that you figured out worked and what didn't work also?
Yeah. So for the spotlight specifically, we had started out and we had this like intro music with like, drone shots. Cause like I just love drone shots. It's like drone shots of Houston. It's like neighborhood spotlights. And it's like music and like me talking to businesses and all this. And it's like that was the first like 12 seconds of the video. And like, I don't know about y'all, but when I'm scrolling on social and like I see that, I'm just like, and I scroll right past it. Um, so we basically after a few videos, and I don't know how many, I said, okay, we need to completely cut that out. And so now what we do is we're basically like, hey, if you're looking for the best cup of coffee, if you're looking for the best tacos, if you want to go green, if you want to whatever, check out this place. And
So
then
jump right into it.
it just jumps right in. Sometimes we don't even have us do the intro. It just jumps right into the interview. But I mean, we're not in the interview. It's the camera's on Carol, the camera's on John, the camera's on whoever it may be that we're interviewing. So, that's really the only time we're in the video, unless we're in the B-roll. So, we want to be in the intro. So that was
So
one of our adjustments.
So let's talk about your different areas of video that you're doing, right? Obviously, you're doing the spotlights for local restaurants and establishments, right?
Yeah.
You're obviously are you doing a listing video for every single listing?
95% of our listings, yes.
Okay. And then you do edutainment or, the educational
Yeah.
videos where you sit in that nice exposed brick room where we probably all have grown to know Katie Day, right? You're sitting in the chair, you got the t-shirt on, some snazzy sneakers and all that stuff, right? So that's
Yeah.
probably like a third segment. Are there other segments?
So I would say the final one would be like the stuff that people don't necessarily see, right? And so the kind of like transactional type videos and the one-to-one videos, right? And so those aren't out on social media or anything like that. But I mean, we have an entire series of videos of like, hey, this is what happens in the transaction, so as you go under contract, this is what happens next. As we, even further behind, as you sign a listing agreement, here's what happens next. Okay, now that photos have been taken, this is what's gonna happen next. And so we have these transactional videos that we send, to buyers and sellers, basically apprising them of what the next steps are. And then the one-to-one videos of the, hey John, what's going on? Want to thank you for being on the podcast, blah 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 type stuff. That we would send to clients or to, other agents or to, whomever. So not as those are normally like kind of shot on the phone, those one-to-one type videos. But I think those, go a long way.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've always wanted to sort of work into our business, right? The sort of the milestone videos. Congratulations, Katie. You've just officially gone under contract as of today. You know, your deposit's due in a couple of days, and the next step will be the home inspection and appraisal and such. Yeah, I think, you know, it's as obvious as it sounds. Every time we find ourselves repeating the same conversations with
Yeah.
clients, whether it be buyers or sellers, it's fair to sit down and make a video and document it, right? Make it part of your SOP. Right.
For sure, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kira, were you going to say something?
Yeah, one of the first times I saw one of your videos, Katie, John ran into my office and he was just like, bro, look at this video. We should make videos like this. And it was you talking about the inspection. So I was just like, well, obviously everybody knows that. And he was like, bro, buyers and sellers don't know that. And it's hard to actually think about what's not like known when you're in it so much. Do you have someone who comes up with the pieces that you create, or is it just something comes to mind and you're just like, I'm writing it down, I'm going to shoot it from there?
Yeah. So, I mean, I come up with all of the content. Normally what'll happen is, I'll schedule a content day and then, as I'm scrolling on social, I'll be more intentional as opposed to just mindlessly scrolling and liking posts when they catch my eye. I'll go through and watch reels or watch TikToks or go through some of my favorite creators or people and see what they're talking about. Right. And I'll write down those subject lines, right? I'm not going to write down everything that John said in his video, because then if I did the same video, like it wouldn't sound like me, right? But if John did a really awesome video on, winning in a multiple offer situation for a buyer, I'd be like, hey, we actually just went through that same thing. And I write that down in a little note on my phone. And, then when it comes to me shooting content, my videographer will say like multiple offer buyer. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that was this. All right. And then I'll talk it. Sometimes I'll script them out a little bit more if there's like stats or numbers or something that needs to be, a little bit more scripted, but normally like just having kind of the title or the idea is enough for me to, kind of put it together and, shoot it.
Awesome. And then in terms of the idea of quantity versus quality, what's your thoughts on that?
I think that to some extent, you need to kind of first start with quantity and kind of get the reps in before the quality will come. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people will start out in shooting video or will start out and they will try to, basically like have that perfectly produced video, the best script ever, and all of these things. Like, first of all, like watch time on videos is so short, right? If you put out a 30-second video and like you can go in and look at your watch time, like people are watching like 6 to 10 seconds maybe. And then you have a few people that are watching all the way through, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people
if you want to ruin your day, go watch your YouTube video watch time.
Boom. The other thing would be if you that completely just threw me off.
I'm sorry.
Watch time. Oh, the other thing is like a lot of people are watching it without sound, right? And so when you're sitting here and you're like, okay, I have to, that didn't sound right, or I said or I paused for too long or whatever, like half the time they're reading the captions anyways, right? And so I think that you've got to get those reps in and you've got to get comfortable talking directly to camera if that's something that you're going to do, and you've just got to get comfortable doing it, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing something like what Bethany does, right? That's also, another thing where, you just got to keep doing it and then your edits will get tighter and things like that will happen. So I think quantity is first. And then as you get more comfortable and as you get in more reps, then it's like, okay, well, how can I get the audio better? Let me buy a mic. Now, how can I get the lighting better? Do I buy lighting? Do I go to a window? What do I do? And you just continually improve every time.
I think that's a great point, because it's I think what we've talked about so far, sometimes people might be like, oh, well, this is Katie Day and she's got all this following and she's been doing this for years. She has a full-time videographer, and well, it must be easy for her to do. But if you're like we said, a newer agent, we talked about some of the videos you should be doing. How do you get a little bit more comfortable with actually just like ripping the Band-Aid off and filming the video and just being comfortable? Because like, I think like when we first did the first couple of podcasts, I think Kiro and I would take a couple shots of whiskey just to get myself more comfortable. Just because you're so wrapped up in like, all right, I want to make sure I look okay. Am I smiling enough? Am I interrupting Kiro? Am I like, did I say what I wanted to say? And we get so obsessed with, is it going to look okay? How do you get past that and just get comfortable with knowing that like the first few that you put out are going to suck. It's fine.
I think one thing that's an interesting thing to do, or an interesting exercise, is to go to someone's page that you like, or a creator's page on YouTube, and switch the videos from most recent to where you see the oldest ones first. And it's really funny to see the types of videos that people were putting out 2, 3, 5, 10, how many ever years ago that they've been doing this.
So
And
true.
almost guaranteed they were trash, right? So that's one, is understanding that everyone has to start somewhere. There are still a ton of people that are not doing videos. So if this is something that you're going to do and embrace, just, let's go all in. And today's your starting point, right? The other thing that I think, as far as, kind of ripping the band-aid off and getting started, is the stories, right? And lives. If you do stories, they disappear after 24 hours. They can be 15 seconds or less. They can be a little bit longer if you want, but they don't have to be very long. And then going live, that not only helps your algorithms on YouTube and Facebook and, Instagram and TikTok and all of that, but it's also, if you mess up, you can just end it. It's not a huge deal. And it's more real than, a highly produced video. If I did a highly produced video and I, dropped the camera and I this and that and whatever, people would be like, why didn't they just edit that out? But if I'm on a live and I drop the camera and it falls, people are going to laugh. An example would be Glenda Baker. She did a live a while ago, and she was showing a cake that she was taking to closing the next day. She's like, hey, just picked up this cake and blah, 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 blah. And she picks it up and it tumbles out of the box onto the floor, or onto the table or onto the floor or whatever it may be. And she was like, holy
Oh my
shit.
stars and stripes.
Yeah, basically. And she, and that's like super real, right? But if that was in a highly produced video with the Denver shot with the camera, everyone would be like, oh, that was so staged. Like, why did she do that? But it was clear she like literally had her phone against a coffee cup in her house and it happened. And she's like, oh my,
Yeah.
So those are the type of things that people think are funny, and show that you're more human. So I would go stories and live would be my 2 tips.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think our buddy David Calhoun, who's out in, I think, San Diego, he does a really good job of just documenting his day. And he'll just like, sometimes you feel like you're right there with them. Like yesterday, I think he posted something. It was like, hey, I just toured this awesome property in Southern California. Can you take a guess at what the list price is? And it's like 2 million, 1 million, 3 million. So it's interaction. It gets
Many
engagement.
Millions.
Many millions. Much different than most of our market right here. So there's that. And then I think the other portion of it too is then he's like back in his car and he's like, turns out my wife hates that property, so there's no chance for me. So you sort of have a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then to wrap it all up, I just spilled my entire lunch in my car. And like crazy shit that happens, like the Glenda Baker thing, right? With the cake. Yeah. And he shows a picture, like his lunch is literally all over his like Tesla. And it's shit that happens to all of us. And we just sort of go about our day. But, you sort of see that like not everything's perfect. And even if he's showing out, showing $3 million homes, like the stuff that happens to us every day is happening to these people as well. So I think that's a great place to start. I have another question here from Bethany Nolan. She was asking about structuring market update videos with numbers and data. Any insights or tricks on how to share that boring data that is useful, but how do we make it like a little bit more engaging, like you said, to catch somebody's attention?
What do homeowners care about? They care about the value of their home, if it's gone up or down, right? And then they care about, if they were to sell, how long would it take, right? If they're buying, is it going to cost more or less than it did last month, type of thing, right? Is it a good time to buy or a good time to sell? And so those are the things that I would focus in on. When we sit there and I do this, I've done this. My market updates sometimes are longer, like for YouTube, right? But I mean, I think that you should really focus in on those things, right? Can you sell or buy? Is it a good time to sell or buy? If you own a home, has the value gone up? And how long would it take if you were to sell your home? Because those are the things that people really care about. And if you get caught up in going over all these stats that, the average price square foot, year over year, median, blah, 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 people are just like, whoosh, right? They don't care. So that would be focusing on the things that matter, or give the number and then what that means for a buyer or a seller in your market.
Okay. So throw out a number like days on market.
Yeah. And then like you know,
Obviously dig,
what does that mean?
explain what
Right.
that
So
means
days
to
on
them.
market. So,
21 days on market.
this
You
is
were
what
to
that,
list your home today. Yeah. That sort of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. As opposed to just being like, the days on market is 21, which is less than last month, which was 31, and blah, 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 right? Like dig into
Yeah.
what that actually means for them. So it's homes are selling faster than they did last month. That's, a good thing for sellers. As a buyer, that you need to be more ready to, blah, 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 whatever.
I
So
think someone who does
ironically,
a really great job. Let me just jump in here, Carol, real quick. Tom Story, who we had on a couple weeks ago for our webinar, does a really great job on market updates. Bethany, if you want to check him out, he does he makes those videos that can be very boring. We all have that agent in our market who's like, time for your weekly market update. The days on market is now 21, which is up 2 days from last week, and blah blah blah. It's just mundane, and everybody does it. So check out Tom's story. He does a really great job at doing market updates.
yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
The one thing that you do, Katie, and I kind of broke it down and I had it in my little book from some of your videos. You do a fact, bridge, benefit, tie down. What that means is you state a fact. For example, the average days on market is blank. Bridge, what does that mean to you? That means, and then you give the benefit of what that means, and then the tie down. So if you're looking to get the property sold within this amount of time, this is the market you want to be in. So for anybody looking to actually implement what Katie does, it's essentially the fact, the bridge, which is what's in it for them, and then benefit, like essentially correlates, and then the tie down. So it's like a question towards the end of it. So now it's engaging back and forth. That's also really good for value propositions too, and stuff from there. Which one thing I just want to give a quick heads up on the top left of our screen, it says less than 1 minute. I've notified our creative team to try to save this, but we might get shut off sporadically. And they just sent us over a new Zoom link. If you guys can put that in this group chat, that would be awesome. So that way we can easily click it when we get disconnected. There you go.
All right. So click it now.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Wow, chicka, wow,
Sorry about that.
wow.
There we go.
All right, all right, all right. The question I was going to ask is the call to actions.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Can
That
you
seems to
go
be
a
a
little
huge
bit?
topic, so I'm glad you jumped in, Carol.
Yeah, it was percolating in my mind as we were talking about that.
when you
Uh,
said when you're talking about what you're talking about, I was going to be like, oh, what I want to talk about is call to action. So hit me with your question.
Perfect. There you go. What's your thoughts on it? What you've tried that works and what you've tried that doesn't work that people should not try to do?
So I think that I don't put a call to action in every video, right? Some of them are just straight facts and benefits and here you go, here's information. And then some are a call to action, right? So if you're looking to buy a property, so if you have questions about a home equity line of credit, if you have a need to blank, then do this, right? Or let me know in the comments if this resonated, then blank, right? So I think that when people think of call to action, they think that they need to say, if you're going to buy or sell, DM me now. If you want to buy or sell, DM me now. Right. And that's not necessarily the call to action. It could be a call to conversation. It could be, a call to do something. Right. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily just call me to buy or sell. So I like the, DM me if you blank, comment your favorite blank or I just posted something the other day. I forget. Oh, so a video I literally just shot today on my phone because it's something that happened. I got an email in my inbox from our local Houston paper that said that water bills are going up by 15% in the month of April. And when I saw that, I was like, GD, and I clicked it and I read through it and I'm like, oh, this sucks. Like my water bill is going to go up. And I was like, oh, this is probably an email that every other Houstonian is getting right now. So I flip open my phone, did a quick green screen video, green screen hand, and shot some meat of the video. And I think my call to action was, let me know in the comments how many gallons of water you used on your last water bill or something like that. So will anyone comment? They may not. I wouldn't go check my water bill and comment on someone else's video, but it's just something to at least, spur something on, instead of like me talking about water bills and then being like, and DM me if you want to sell your house because you can't afford it because you're high water bill now, like something stupid like that. So
Yeah.
instead I made a different stupid comment.
So just to confirm, it's essentially safe to say that you try to encourage a conversation more or less than like, hey, reach out to me because you need me.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, awesome. And any things in terms of calls to action to avoid doing other than the obvious DM me?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's like the most obvious thing, right? Is just like like take it down a notch, right? Like you don't need to try to sell in every single video, and kind of just let it be.
Fair enough. The biggest.
Go ahead, Kara.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You got it.
The biggest thing that I've seen recently is that they keep trying to say, like, try to make it so that you're offering something that seems scarce, like an off-market list of things, like to try to like go in there. Do you think that that would come off as inauthentic, or do you think it's better just for them to naturally just want to have that conversation to be developed from there?
I mean, so I think that if you actually have those things, right? If you have an off-market list, if you have an off-market property, if you have whatever, it's not, being disingenuous if you post it and DM me for this list, right? But if it's like the I've got a buyer letter, right? Everyone's heard of the
Yeah.
letter that you write and you
Got a
send out
buyer
to
for
a
your home.
neighborhood because I'm working with Kiro and
Yeah.
Kiro can't find a house. So I'm going to send a neighbor to his dream neighborhood to find that listing, right? If I'm not actually working with you and I don't have a buyer, like I think that that's like not something you should do. And the same thing goes with content, right? Like, don't say you have something, right? And DM me for this. And you're like, oh, actually, like that property just sold. How can I help you?
But while
Whatever,
I have you,
Yeah. So like the bait and switch, I think is whatever. But if you've got something that could be of value to people in your community or that follow you online, then like totally, right?
Got it. Cool.
we've got another question here. So should live videos be consistent at the same time every week, or should it just be more personality based or educational?
I think that they don't necessarily need to be at the same time. Pretty much every platform, when you go live, they notify your subscribers or your followers or your friends or whatever it may be. You get those notifications on different platforms all the time that someone's live. So I don't think you need to be, a regularly scheduled program every Wednesday at 4 p.m. As far as what you're going to do, I think that your lives should match your content, right? So as you said, you're like, hey, here are your content buckets that you're doing. I think that they should match that in some way, or should be some sort of glimpse into you and kind of who you are and what you do.
Yeah. As you talk about some of the different platforms, what are the key platforms? Like, I don't know, are you involved? Are you doing stuff on TikTok?
I have a TikTok. I post maybe, how often do I post? Probably like once every 3 weeks. It's not consistent enough. Every time I tell myself I'm going to do it, I see another news article that TikTok's getting canceled. So I just haven't really dug in, but I consume a lot of content on TikTok. But I think TikTok, there's definitely still opportunity there. I'm just using that as a terrible excuse to not do anything. TikTok, I think,
you're a taker, but not a giver.
Yeah, basically. There's
I
some
think a lot of
content
people
out there.
feel the same way though about TikTok. It's I mean, I couldn't even comment much further than that, but any involvement I've had on TikTok is just on the consumption end.
Well, and so I recently hired a VA to start repurposing my content. So she's been taking my content from Instagram. That's like the catalyst of the workflow, and puts it on Google My Business, puts it on Facebook Business, puts it on YouTube Shorts, and also LinkedIn, Facebook.
Great.
Yeah, Google, all of those platforms.
And what are you seeing on LinkedIn and Facebook?
So
You
not a
said it
ton
was Instagram content
goes
repurposed.
then.
And when you say
Yeah.
repurposed, you mean just shorter versions?
She literally just downloads the Instagram reel with the captions from Instagram, right? Like the big block letter captions. She
Mhm.
downloads that and then puts it on LinkedIn, puts it on Google My Business if it's small enough, under 30 seconds normally. Facebook business page. Yeah. And YouTube Shorts. I had a brain fart there.
I hope
YouTube
our team
Shorts.
is getting some ideas from this.
And so, but basically, like what I set up was a workflow in Zapier, whatever you call it. And I set it to where when I do a post, it sends the perma link, right? Like the link that's the link to take you to that post. It sends that to her, and then she knows to take that link, copy it, and download the post and puts it on all of those other platforms. We haven't dug into TikTok just because most of my TikTok stuff was agent facing. And then like, if I then went to consumer facing stuff, it would kind of like just contradict what we had already posted. So I just don't really know what direction I want to go to there, but baby steps. And I've gotten some DMs on LinkedIn from people, more so than just people trying to recruit me to sell solar panels or, to a different brokerage or to go work a job somewhere or sell me leads or something like that. I've actually gotten DMs from people that I knew in former careers or things like that have questions about buying, selling, just real estate in general. Facebook business, I've gotten a couple people that are in my sphere, people that I know that have reached out to say, oh, hey, I saw your video and I have this question. And then we've gotten a little bit of traction on YouTube Shorts. But, again, it's a compounding effect. We just started doing this about 3-ish weeks ago. And so, I'm looking forward to kind of on that month over month basis, seeing, more engagement and interaction.
Nice.
Cool.
And just for anybody who's like listening and might not understand, can you share how long you've been investing in getting out there through social and what the ROI has been so far?
So that is like the ultimate question that everyone always asks, right? As far as
Yeah.
what the ROI is on video and social. And so while we do have people that directly will DM us from Instagram, right? And say, I want to buy a house. How do I do that? Right. Or I have a home to sell. Can you help? I think you also have to take the mindset that social media also has some um, other things. And so some of those would be agent to agent referrals, right? And staying top of mind with other agents, right? Past
Yeah.
clients in Sphere and referrals from them and people that you know. And then also the direct consumer business, right? So I think all three are part of social. And so if that's the
Yeah.
case, from our agent to agent referrals, past clients and referrals from that, and then direct social, I mean, that's probably about 80% of our business, right? Like all of those things
Nice.
combined.
Yeah.
So, it's a significant driver for our business. I also view social media kind of as a business card, right? So if someone tells you that, they know this realtor, Katie Day in Houston, and you Google my name or you Google move me to Texas, all of these things are going to pop up. And you're like, oh, wow, like they're super involved in the community. They know their shit about real estate. They go on podcasts and webinars and talk about stuff and ramble for an hour and like, wow, this is awesome. We should work with this team. Right. And so
Yeah.
that's the other part, is kind of like the business card part. So I can't say like for every dollar that I've invested in video, I've gotten back 4, but I know, that I pay, thousands of dollars per month for video, and we make more than thousands of dollars per month in GCI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
it's a big thing because of the fact that you're omnipresent with your database, your sphere, and everything from there. And I would just add that it's a brand. So like you could essentially, Katie Day is the brand, not, Real Broker, right? So if you ever wanted to go anywhere, you're taking that with you because you're investing in that. A lot of agents are building their own brokerages brands, not their own. So that's something that's
Yeah.
is clear more than ever before now.
yeah, I think people just need to realize it's about staying top of mind and
Yeah.
and like Hiro said, omnipresent. And I think the goal should be for your clients and for your sphere and for the people in your marketplace to be saying, man, I see that girl everywhere, right? Or I see their name everywhere, right? And more than just like the for sale signs, but literally everywhere, at the coffee shop, at the local restaurant that just opened up, in the community, doing all sorts of events. That's the idea of it. It's hard to put your finger on exactly how much the return of it is. I would almost phrase the question the other way and say, how much is it worth for you to not do social, right? Like how much are you losing by not staying
Yeah.
top of mind, right?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean, a success story of that as well is, I mean, we have a listing today that just went under contract. It had 7 offers on it. And if we rewind to the listing appointment and how we got that listing appointment, is we did a neighborhood spotlight at a smoothie shop and a gym. A gym member at that gym saw the video and started following me on Instagram. And then for one of my like market updates where I just literally post stats and numbers, she sent me a DM and was like, "Hey, I'd be curious to know what's happening in my neighborhood. I've lived here for about 6 years and, would just like to kind of know what's happening." So I sent her numbers. I was like, "Hey, this is what's happening in your hood. These are the sales." And then she's like, "Well, actually, we're thinking about selling. That's why I DM'd you.
yeah,
Can we talk
she
more about
just didn't
that?"
want to tell you up
Right.
front.
Yeah. And so I was like, "Yeah, I can run a quick CMA and send you, but if you want like something more specific, I'd have to obviously visit, but here are the numbers,
Yeah.
And I'll share one of the tips from Tom's story. What he does on his is he does have a call to action. And at the bottom of his video, he has a Calendly link where you can
Yeah.
click and schedule time with him. And we found it really interesting. He said there's 3 options when you click the Calendly link. It's seller consultation, buyer consultation, and discovery call. And he says nobody wants to commit to the buyer or the seller because it just sounds a little bit too committal. He's like, everybody books the discovery call.
I like that.
And it's almost exactly what you just said, right? Like people are DMing you going, "Hey, what are the numbers look like in my neighborhood?" Because they don't want to say, like, "Katie, come over today. I want to list my house."
Yeah. I like that.
So
Might have to
yeah,
add that into the Calendly link because we've got one on our YouTube page, but
his numbers are incredible. Kiro's better with the numbers than I am. Do you remember what they were, Kiro, for appointments this year?
He had 100. No, well, it was last year. He had 100 and something appointments set on,
From
Zoom
YouTube.
from that.
calls.
Yeah.
Yep. And he had 25 contracts, like deals done, and he was getting paid essentially 60 cents a view when he broke it down, which was insane.
Not bad.
Actually, no,
Yeah.
that's a lie. Not 60. No, yeah, it is because he had 500,000 views on his content, and he made 330,000 from that year of views. And the videos they put out, they had 55 videos out that he published. I had a question to ask, but I completely escaped my mind.
Are you seeing like a lot of people, because a lot of what you put out there is Houston, based material? Is it people that are in Houston? They're like, "Oh my God, like that is a great taco place, and I will check that out." Or is it people who are coming from, maybe Dallas that are like, "Hey, I'm moving to Houston. I don't know anything about the area. I'm watching these videos to learn a little bit more about the area," and then they're connecting. So I guess, are they coming from outside of the area, or are you being able to capture people from inside your market already?
It's both. I think so on Instagram specifically, just because I'm on there frequently because it's on my phone. About anywhere between 10 to 15% of our audience is local. And the remainder is, in other cities and states and things like that. So for Instagram, for sure, it's a small portion is local. But like for YouTube and things like that, what we found is obviously, and I'm sure Tom kind of covered this in the last webinar, is that people will go on to YouTube to start thinking about researching an area, right? So they're thinking about moving to Jersey, so they type in that into YouTube, and then they start watching videos, and they find someone they like, and they watch all their videos, and then they reach out and say, "Hey, I think I might move to New Jersey, and John, can you help me?" Right? And so that's
usually
a
they
little
see
bit
the
longer of a
videos and
process.
decide not to move to New Jersey.
Well,
Like,
I wasn't, yeah. Anyways, that's when they move to Texas because they see all the, taxes and all the things. But anyways, so, it's more of a research process. And, what I find when I get on a consult with someone from YouTube is that they're like, "All right, so we saw your market update, or we saw this community, video, and then we went kind of down this rabbit hole, and we think we want to live in blank neighborhood because we saw your video on this restaurant and blah, 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 blah." And like, they'll give you like the full rundown of their research. And then I think I have a lot of stories like the thing like I just told, right? That I do a smoothie shop spotlight, a gym member from that gym sees it and follows us, and then, at some point then reaches out because they want to sell their property. So it's a combination of both for sure.
Yeah.
And the commission
One
from
thing,
that transaction paid for your videographer for 4 months. So people that are trying to figure out the ROI, it's there.
Yeah, for sure.
the one thing I'll say is because we were very green until, we met people like yourself, Bethany, and a couple other people who were active like David on social to get business from. When we were like, "Oh, how is the conversion rate?" And when we kept getting told, "Well, realistically, when you're meeting with these people, they already know you because they're watching your
Yeah.
content and they like you because they keep committing to watching it. So usually you go to meet with them and they're like, all right, I'm ready, let's go. I'm like, you don't got to try to close them. No, no, no sales. They're like, no, it's like the easiest thing in the world and it gets rather addicting. So that's, I guess, the benefit of being intentional the way that you've been with trying to direct your content towards buyers and sellers. As we're rounding down on time, if anyone has any questions, put it in the chat box. But Katie, can you share any tips and tricks that someone could utilize to increase their viewership, increase their engagement and community within their following?
Definitely. I think it's going to be platform specific, right? Because what works on Instagram may not work on YouTube. So I think you need to choose your platform, and then the advice would potentially change depending on that platform. But when you look at something like YouTube, if you're doing YouTube content, people always say, well, how long should the videos be? What should my hook be? What should this be? What should that be? Like, what's the perfect formula? And while there is a formula and kind of an outline you should have, right there, you shouldn't start out and be like, hi, I'm Katie, and this is da 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 da, and follow me and like the channel and subscribe and like this video. And if you want more content like this, like you just need to get to the point and start talking, right? They already know who you are because your name's, down at the bottom of the video, right? And all of that thing. So like you'd be like, hey, if you're doing a market update, if you live in Houston, Texas, we're breaking down the numbers for the month of March and what happened in Q1 and what that means for you if you're looking to buy or sell. And then you kind of get into the market update, right? Like that 30 seconds of you introing yourself doesn't make sense. The same thing applies to Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many times do you see a video where it's like, hey guys, it's John, I'm here to talk about, and like you've already
All he
scrolled.
does.
Yeah.
Just I figured to pick on John, but
Yeah.
the same thing applies there. So that would be, I think, the biggest thing as far as kind of getting views up, right, to people actually watching a little bit longer because they're the hook, right, is there.
Yeah.
And then from there, I mean, I think you just kind of have to play with it a little bit. So like for YouTube, if you're getting good watch time, right? As we were joking earlier, the watch time dwindles very quickly. But if you can get people watching for 3 minutes, then try a 4-minute video, then try a 5-minute video, then try a 6-minute video. And if people are still watching for the same amount of percentage of time, not amount of time, but percentage of time, then keep making them longer, right? The longer you're going to have people that are engaged with your content, the more likely they're going to be to reach out to you. And I think that applies really on any platform.
Got it. That makes sense. So it's safe to say that you want to make sure that they absorb what you're putting out so that the algorithm appreciates it and puts it out more than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. The like Instagram would be like the watch time, right? And then for YouTube would be the watch time, and then Instagram, the time on post is always important, and watch time as well, for sure.
Got it. Awesome.
Awesome, Katie. Well, this is always super insightful spending time with you. I don't think we have any other questions coming through.
Problem is there's a lag, so could take some time. But
if anyone wants to reach out and collaborate or connect with you or send you a referral, Houston, Texas, what's the best way for them to reach it?
Yeah, so DM on Instagram, move me to Texas, MOVEMETOTX. Be a great way to connect, and we can kind of go from there.
I see so many agents now with move me to something else. I'm like, that's Katie's gig. What are they doing? What's going on? I don't like it. I get upset for you.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And then don't you have an event coming up in a week or two?
Next week. Are you coming down?
I want to. I haven't booked anything yet, though. Are there tickets still available?
There are tickets still available. The Real Estate Video Blueprint, realestatevideoblueprint.com, where we're going to be digging into all things branding, video content. We've got Tom Ferry, Chelsea Pites, and then a whole slew of content creator, real estate agents digging into, what's working for them and kind of open up their playbooks.
Awesome.
And John may be there.
And John may be there. If you can, if he can get to Texas, I can get to Texas. I need to make it happen. If they want more info on that, of course, they can find it on your page.
Yeah, but it's realestatevideoblueprint.com.
Easy
or
enough.
DM me and I can send you that link.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you very much, Katie. Always a pleasure. Really appreciate you spending some more time with us.
Always
Can't get rid of us yet.
Sounds good, man.
Thanks, Katie.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.